everyone, welcome back to A City Planner Plays City Builders. We are continuing to build the city of Bluffside Crossing, and today I want to continue building out our industries. So at this point, we have our oil industry, which we should probably fix and make look a little prettier at some point. We have our ore industry, and we have our forestry industry. So we're missing just one, and that is the agriculture industry. So what I want to do is come up with a good place for that industry. And if you'll recall, in the past I looked at where would be a good place for this, and we don't really have any dedicated lands that are great for this except for on cliff sides and, oddly enough, in the water. So I think we're going to do a little bit of work to create this. Not something I would normally like to do, but we'll deal with it. What I was thinking is this might be an ideal spot to build that. And the main reason for that is this map does not have a lot of flat areas. If you look, Mount Hood is an area. We could go behind our interchange, but need to come up with another way to access the area then. And then we have the airport and near Hillcrest, but otherwise, a lot of this land is pretty hilly. And I'd like to take as flat a chunk of land as possible. And even with this, I think I'm going to do a bit of terraforming to smooth it out a little bit, to make it a little easier to work with. Not too much, though. I don't want this to be some dramatic chunk of land that is completely unreasonable and unrealistic, but at the same time, I don't want all the buildings to be, I guess, kind of janky. So let's do a little bit of terraforming to make it possible to use a little bit more of this land, and then some smoothing to make it look a little bit more natural. Okay, I like that. And then what I want a blank slate to work on here, so I think I'm going to remove trees in this area. And then I'm going to make this fertile land. Very good. Okay. And now we have a nice clean palette to work with. So a lot of times in rural areas, you'll see state highways or something of that nature, kind of guiding where development is occurring. And yes, I would consider this development. So I'm going to come up just a little bit at a 90. And then I'm going to loop back around. I want to preserve as much land as possible. And again, we're going to follow contours until we end the road, which I think we'll just stop it right there. And I want to do a little bit of grading to smooth things out along the road. Okay, much better. So let's get rid of our contours and start thinking about how we want our farm to lay out. So we're going to want to give ourselves enough distance back from the intersection before we start our local farm roads. Whoops. Maybe I should actually be on roads. I'm going to use dirt roads for the farm. And I'm just going to come up with a real basic layout. Well, first, I think I would like to be parallel to some of the roads we already have. And then actually, let's turn the grading back on and be mindful. Now that I'm looking, I'm a little bit too close. So we can be parallel for a little while, but we're probably going to want to be respectful of the topography that we just created. Okay. And then at the same time, mindful of some of the needs that we're going to have with this land. Okay. Now, first we're going to need to paint an industry area. So we will paint our industry area. To start out with, we'll go with this, and I think over here as well. So maybe we'll just paint across. Okay. Now we can start looking at some of our buildings. So to start out, we always need the main farm building, which we can leave here. And from there, start to plan our farm accordingly. So we need to think about the types of buildings that we want. Obviously, we're going to need the workers' barracks, the maintenance building. Then we have small fields, large fields, fruit trees of various sizes, and animal pastures, as well as flour mills, cattle sheds, milking parlor, slaughterhouse, grain silos. So I think to start, I'd like to kind of loop around this main farm building. And then I think it would be a neat gateway to have just kind of some fruit trees and farm fields that are visible from the road. So I generally try to place my largest buildings first, or largest fields. That's an animal pasture, large fruit field. For some reason, it's not letting me work with the grid that I've established. So let's move this for a second. Okay, I'm gonna kind of just scooch these all over just a little bit. Just temporarily, so I can get some roads laid. All right, let's change some of these. Let's do 2 things of apples and some pears. We aren't in a tropical region, so having oranges doesn't make a ton of sense for us. All right, and then I'm going to follow the topography again. Get my road guidelines back on. Okay, now we're going to try to fill in the rest of this with some smaller fields. Okay. So we have greenhouses. I like those two right there, but I think I might have one more pear field. And then let's place some other trees kind of in a row at the edge of these. Actually, I want to... Let's get rid of some of the other trees that are showing up in there already. Let's see. Junipers make nice hedgerows. I think I want to lower that spacing. See if we can work in any of our farm buildings. Okay. So able to get a couple of our farm buildings in there. All right, I like the way that this is turning out so far. Now I'd like to have some farm fields as well. Not just, maybe we could, I don't know if we have any room for a small field. No, it looks like we're pretty tapped out there. Let's get some large crop fields. I'm okay placing these side by side. I might actually want to just move it to move this one just a hair closer. The nice thing about these fields is that they contour really well. Okay. So let's see. Cotton, probably not the best for us. What do we make this a wheat area? Put a few more. I think if we play our cards right over here, we might be able to get one more. But we are running into some grading issues, so I might just raise this up. So we'll do just a little bit of grading work over here, just so I have room to snake a road through. Okay. So I won't lie, rural planning is not something that I've had a lot of experience in, but it is a whole. There are people who focus on that, particularly where I live. It's certainly a need, just not something. I mean, I live in my state, I should say. I live in a highly urbanized place in my state, though. So. But I know that in one of the universities I went to, they actually did have a center for the small city and a ruralized planning area that people generally really thought was good. So. All right, let's do a couple more fields. Again, I think I'm going to switch this one to potatoes. And this one we'll make corn. I think we may try to run a road parallel and have a little bit more corn growing. Okay, so let's try to mirror this road curve and give ourselves a little bit of land to work on. And where is this road going to go? That's probably a good question. And I think it goes nowhere right now. And part of that is the amount of space that we have. So I think I might kind of just give this some place to go. In the future, this will be beneficial. For now, it's not really going to do a ton, but that's okay. All right. Now we can kind of loop back up with this road here. Now we could try to, if we have a need to have an interchange here, we could do something real small, but it's probably not the greatest place and not even the angle. I'd probably want to curve it over if we were going to do that. But this gives me enough space to have some slaughterhouses and those sorts of operations. I noticed this is already breaking down a little bit. We're probably going to need to work on that. I don't know what happened here. Something funky happened. So let's repair this. Truthfully, that angle is just not great here. A lot of farm traffic. So maybe this will improve it. It's a little better. Certainly not perfect. A roundabout might do a great deal of benefit here. But the other would be having another road to kind of back out through here, another access. Because right now this is basically one gigantic, everything's funneling onto this road with no outlet. So that might be a way to relieve some of this. So I might add one of those as well. So let's see. Let's do a little bit of terraforming to clean this up. Okay. And now I want to place our farm maintenance building, like I mentioned. And some workers' barracks. I know that this is a very large farming operation, so I'm going to leave quite a few of them. Then the last thing, you're going to want to have animal pastures. I'm going to try to leave enough space for those. Let's see. Let's have some cows, some Highland cows. Actually, let's see, we have pigs. Let's do sheep. And we'll do Highland cows here. Okay. And then we need to look at some of our buildings. So we're going to need a flour mill for some of the buildings that we've placed over here. So that's going to be pretty inefficient. I want to have it at least be somewhat close to... Okay, that's outside of the farm area. So I might need to expand the farm area a little bit. I want to at least have some logical movement here. And my fear is that if I get it too far away and I place it over here, now vehicles are going to have to come down towards the animals and then leave. So let's take a look at our farm area. We can extend it just a little bit. So we're going to need some cattle sheds. And a milking parlor because we have some cows. And obviously we're going to need a slaughterhouse. So this is another one of those large buildings that we're going to probably want to get close to this. I might extend this road over a bit. And try to reach this area over here. expand our industry area this way. You can kind of see these can turn into some pretty significant operations just by the nature of the size of the buildings. I actually don't want this one over here. Yeah, I think that we're only going to be able to get that one, and that's okay for now. Let's try to make this look a little better. It's going to be a challenge because of the size of the building and the terrain. Then we'll take the brush strength way, way down. All right. I think that looks a lot better. Oh, we're gonna want to fix this one too. Are these couple? Okay, and now we obviously need utilities everywhere throughout here. So let's work on that. Get this underneath that main highway and then kind of extend out to the buildings. Now reasonably these would probably all have their own wells. You're not going to have city water running to a bunch of ag like this, but it'll be fine. All right. And reasonably, you'd probably have high capacity wells in here, very controversial CAFOs, and the like. But if you're going to have an operation this big, really this would be a kind of a factory farm. It's not a small operation by any stretch of the imagination. You're going to need some pretty high-powered wells to serve this. Okay, and I think we're all good there. Now we need power. I think most everything except for this is going to link up well. All right, we've got our slaughterhouse connected. Now we could try to have some back route because right now there's really, this is a big cul-de-sac, but I think it's probably going to function okay. At this point, I think I just want to do a little bit of decoration, and I think that we're good. So let's first of all continue to remove some of these trees around here. I think I want to do it myself. Okay. We'll just decorate along the road with trees. Often you'll see this as a way to kind of delineate farmland. There'll be tree divisions, especially in older areas. It was a good way for farmers to be able to delineate their property. You'd see it along 40 lines. We obviously don't have 40 lines here because of the topography, but that's quite all right too. And truthfully, we probably could do a little bit more. There are these lands that are right within the farm. And maybe in a future episode, that's something that we can do. Kind of see the tree line that I'm building. And it's kind of another chunk of land that we could do something with. I think I also want to kind of just fill in some of these empty plots of land around the farm with some trees. Throw a couple in along some of the fields. All right. Yeah, I'm liking the way that this is turning out. I think that it's looking pretty good. Those kind of throw some behind. Wow, it's plopping those fast. Then I think I'll finish it off with a tree brush. Let's see. Just make sure we have some greenery mixed in, different sizes. Let's make this a little bigger. Okay. Well, let's see how it turned out. Oh, I like the way this looks. So on this end, we have all of our fruit trees, a couple greenhouses, some silos. Got our operation to create grains. Got some of our fields over here. When you come along, we have the slaughter, or the slaughter. We have some of our animal fields and then our slaughterhouse over here. And I think it really turned out well. Let me know what you think. Do you like the way that this farm turned out? Is there anything that you would change? I know that when we look at the factories, we're going to get really into the nuts and bolts of how all of this is operating and make sure that it's producing the raw materials that we need. But for the time being, I just kind of want to get things laid out a little bit, a real basic overlay, and we can do a little bit more work on this in the future. So thank you so much for joining. If you like this video, please consider liking it. If you're not subscribed to my channel, consider subscribing, and hit the notification bell if you want to know when I release new videos. Thank you so much for joining me, and I will see you in the next one. Bye.